Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first Anatomy podcast session for 2022. And along with a whole bunch of various content that we are going to be uploading here pretty soon, as promised in the previous year, including music covers, collaborations with other musicians, of course, for the Anatomy podcast, and Under the Skin, and first little tidbits of Blind Without Our Failures. But tonight, the discussion, the guest that we will be hosting on the Anatomy podcast is none other than Nail Splitter. We have here, introduce yourselves.
What's up? I'm Jake. I play bass and I do some backup vocals.
Jake Bass.
Hello, everybody. My name is Xulxer, and I make noises with my mouth.
Xulxer. Vocals.
And it feels good.
Fuck
Mouth.
yeah. Let's go. So, Jake and Xulxer, welcome to the Anatomy podcast. We are more than happy to have you. And we know that recently you guys released Nail Splitter's first, I think the debut release, right? Hail to Agony?
Yep.
Okay.
It was our first real release past our demo from a couple years ago.
Sweet. Awesome. So yeah, these guys are just starting out, and we are more than proud to be joining them along for the ride. And we will be handling the track-by-track lyrical analysis at another time with Under the Skin for Hail to Agony. But tonight we are learning about the legacy. We are learning the history of this band, where Jake and Xulxer started as musicians, all that fun stuff. And then we will be asking the juicy questions, such as, why is it called Nail Splitter? Or, what do you guys have planned for the future? What is your end game goal for the next 2 years? All that fun stuff. But starting off, gentlemen, either one of you can begin. I am wanting to learn everything that you can tell me about yourself. These are all the elementary level friendly questions, like where were you born? Like education, like how you started out and how you really got into music. Either one of you can take the spot. You may begin when you are ready.
Can I do it in a metal voice?
I mean, we'll have to add in subtitles, and thank goodness I have Randy Niss as my new editor, so he will probably just help out with the subtitles.
Hold on in depth. Do it.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
So, lived all over the place. I was born in Bangor, Maine, and have literally lived in every state except for Alaska and Hawaii for more than 3 months, 4 months or so.
Wow.
Colorado is definitely home, though. It's where, we got Dark Descent Records right down in Colorado Springs, which I didn't even know they were from Colorado Springs, and then I found out I was living in the same state. Incredibly excited about that. Then, obviously, Colorado.
Colorado. Yeah, there you go. But,
Collectively, for about 5 or 6.
Yeah, you get over it. You'll get over it.
Get over it. Oh my lord, I live here.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Where you been, man? What's your story?
Grew up in good old Indiana. Just out in the fucking cornfields. And moved here when I was 15 to Colorado, lived in the mountains for a while. About dropped out of school. Ended up in some weird hippie school where I started learning a lot more about music and how to actually be a musician. And then I moved to Denver, where I've been for, not consecutively 10 years, because I took a break and moved out to Boston for a little bit, but then came back here because Denver is just the shit. It really is.
Okay, that's cool.
There are a lot of great people here in Denver.
Sweet. I mean, I'm just barely starting out, like kind of reaching out into the world, moving from Phoenix to Tennessee, barely touching New Mexico. We went through the top, like the freaking bottle cap, really, of Texas, windmills for miles. We went through Oklahoma, we went through Arkansas, and then then through Memphis, and now we got here just a little bit ago. Lots of places, lots of states to go through. But I'll tell you what, from what I saw, Oklahoma and Arkansas was the exact same thing as Tennessee. People will probably prove me wrong in the future on that, of course, but definitely a different environment out here. And Xulxer, you said you've been in all the states except for Alaska and another exception for about 3 months. That is such an interesting way to live and like grow up and stuff. How did that go for you? Like, what was going on? Why was that happening? If you may disclose, if you're willing to disclose.
So my dad worked for a construction company in which he would like just build houses, like help do like subdivision development. But he was kind of like overseeing the structuring, like depending on, like when you get to a space, it doesn't have perfect land. Like you have to move, shape the land to get it prepared for like occupation, develop on top of it, and move roads into it. So it has to be added to society grid or whatever. So he was the guy that like kind of set all that stuff up, right?
Right.
But once it's done, you got to go to the next place. Well, the contractor would go and do things. Mostly he stayed on the East Coast. But I experienced that moving lifestyle all the way up until probably like 13 or 14 years old when we settled in Georgia. No, it was earlier than that. Because I left Georgia the first time freshman high school. Like 9, so I'm like 15 when we left Georgia. So I'm like 7 or 8 to get to first settle down.
Wow.
So the first time we stayed in Georgia for about 7 years. I got about 14 or 15, and I joined a show choir group. And from the time I was 14 up until about the time I was 16 or 17, any time that I wasn't like actively in school, sometimes I do the school and on the road and stuff, we would be doing the show choir touring. So it was just mostly like all singing and stuff. We would set up our own, like, we had like a show performance. We had like little choreographed dances and stuff. We would set up our stage. We would set up all of our mics. We would set up all of our backdrops, perform the night, tear everything down, pack it into the bus, hold it in the next spot. It was straight up. I didn't even know what I was experiencing at the time, but I'm so glad it happened. I believe that I have been incredibly well equipped for it.
Right.
But doing nail splitter. Really excited. Anyway, so that's like the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Then after that, I got into some questionable life choices, and it took me all over, everywhere, literally everywhere. A little bit of touring among those things, but a lot of just jumping from state to state, making ends meet.
Right.
And it's been that way ever since. Colorado. I've lived here now. The last time I moved here for about almost 3 years. We got here mid 2019 ish, like two and a half, almost 3 years now. I've been here, and I feel like I'm setting up a base. But at the same time, like, I still want to move. Like I still want to go around and like touring.
Right.
The best way to get that outlet, completed and still allow myself to build like a home base.
Right. So just to kind of review upon what you provided so far, from an early age, really, being in school and being a part of the choir group that you were in, you were already kind of exercising the routines of touring, basically having to break everything down and traveling overnight. So you had to get used to that, and you naturally did pretty early on, and then you just kind of translated that into heavier bands, heavier projects. And I'm hearing about touring and stuff, and Nail Splitter just starting. So you were in projects before Nail Splitter, or?
I've been in one semi-successful band that did tour, but we only would tour for about a month max. So nothing major.
Tour. A month is like that's a good tour, man.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Or maybe it's more serious than I thought it was, but we never really serious. We got like a 3-song EP, and that was it. But we had like mad music. It never got put up anywhere. there were some internal struggles with that band.
Oh yeah.
We've not experienced any internal struggles, serious, like, legitimate note in Nail Splitter, which is something I always, anytime we have an interview, I just want to say, you guys are literally the greatest people to know what they're doing and who are good at what they do. Like, it's insane, dude.
All right. Well, I'm about to flip the switch and start being a bitch to you.
All right, Jake, let's bring it. Drama.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, great. This band is awesome and so talented. Like, I'm really looking forward to doing a lot of shit.
Good. Well, I mean, yeah, that's definitely not flipping the switch. So you caught me off guard with that, but you know, it's better that way. It's better with this.
I'll flip it away. I gotta practice on them first.
Oh, true. But I mean, yeah, that's very, very interesting to know that you've already like had the experience of being in a band, and now you have Nail Splitter, which like bands like the Archaic Epidemic, if you guys are familiar with them, we've had them on the podcast before. Their first project being Betrayer, it was pretty sloppy, and that's basically what they were saying on the podcast. Is it was a very rough working start. We've had people like David Simonich from formerly of I forgot. I think it's like Impuritan. No, that's a different band. Shit, I forgot his old band name. But like they were having issues.
Signs of the Swarm now.
Right. Signs of the Swarm now, which, literally the dude sounds like a cricket man with all his freaking chirps and shit. Like, that's how I describe him. I'm just like, yo, David Simonich, he's the cricket man. Like, you listen to him, you think it's a fucking insect alien dude or something, but mad respect to him. Yeah, basically. And I mean, Signs of the Swarm, it's good for marketing, but...
That's awesome, actually. This album was Fit for an Autopsy. That was fucking...
And invested. Oh, I can't believe I missed it, dude.
Invested.
Oh yeah, their tour came through town and you all missed it.
I thought he did. I missed
it. Damn, dude.
I bought that ticket last year. I made sure I missed that. Like,
Yo, Xulxer, if it makes it feel any better, man, I just got a new job, and apparently I have to provide them a 3-week notice before I go to, like, any shows or request days off, and, like, the Signs of the Swarm show is 2 weeks away, and I'm like, fuck, should I even ask them? Because, I mean...
You go and pretend nothing.
I mean, yeah... Dude, not only Signs of the Swarm, we got Ingested, which I never thought that they would be coming to the U.S. like anytime soon. They had like their Vulvodynia Victims, Bound in Fear, Veil of Nath or whatever tour for Where Only Gods May Tread. And I didn't think that they would come to the States anytime soon, but those motherfuckers, they came in strong. And I'm so... That's a... Wait. Vape in the coffee?
This dude's a fucking...
I'm like, are you vaping and drinking coffee at the same time?
No, he's a fake wizard.
That's that foamy coffee. That's that spooky foamy coffee right there. That caught me off guard. But no.
But also on that Signs of the Swarm stuff, dude, every band on there, like I said, I bought this ticket last year because Great American Ghost,
yes,
Ingest, Signs of the Swarm, and one of my personal favorites, Enterprise Earth.
Yes.
All opening up for Fit for an Autopsy. I was like...
That, honestly, that is such a king fucking, like, god tier lineup. And that is a polytheistic god tier lineup. So you're talking one of the best gods among them all tier lineup.
And like, Enterprise Earth had 2 fill-in members and sounded better than ever. I was like, how do y'all...
Yeah.
You don't even know half your members there. Like,
the original band.
No, what?
Who was missing?
Dan Watson. No. Ingested was missing members too. They're down to like 3 people right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. I thought that they were a full 5-piece, and you said they're only 3-piece. What's going on? Are they a 5-piece? I gotta look that up right now.
Look it up. Let's go. Dude, that did caught me off guard. That did catch me off guard though when they announced the tour, but then right after that they were like, Dan is unfortunately not joining us with no fucking context. I'm like, did he just not get the vaccine or what? Like,
yes, he posted some anti-vax stuff and then got COVID. I did a little bit of digging. Yeah. He was like, he basically said he wasn't going to go on the tour, and then like pretty much right after that got COVID, so he actually couldn't go on the tour. It took me to laugh, bro. That sucks. I had COVID twice.
I also had COVID, and it sucked. Where this is no laughing matter. We're laughing at the irony, not the circumstance.
Yes.
For everyone listening.
For everyone listening.
Human life is to be valued, and it shouldn't die.
Right. No. Exactly.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, they did. I don't want anybody. We're not that.
No.
We're not those guys.
No. And I will admit, I used to be that type of person. I was very anti-vax and stuff, and you know, I wasn't really into it, and I don't think I'm going to be getting the boosters unless if it's mandated by my workspace or, you know, the concert venues in general. But I will admit that I got fucking spooked when I got my second vaccine shot. I got a Moderna, and I got a microdose of it. I was put on my ass, dude. I felt like I was 65 years old. It was rough.
You are, dude. Cause I got COVID right before I got the vaccine. So the vaccines opened up for essential workers here in like April, and I got it in March.
Oh shit!
So I got COVID. I was quarantined. I thought I was gonna fucking die. I was just miserable, so sick. And then on my like, you know, my end checkup, like when you're like coming out of quarantine, you have a checkup with your doctor, and the doctor tells me like, oh yeah, so they just opened up vaccination, so I'm gonna schedule for that. Because I was like, wait, why? I just got it. He's like, well, people are getting it twice. And I was like, are you serious? So I got the vaccine, and then I got it again anyways. So I'm like anti-vax, but like, damn, that shit fucking doesn't matter. Like,
that's
too quickly for the human species to catch up.
Right, hands down, man. That's the thing I'm worried about with getting a booster shot is like, you know, not to create any controversy because, you know, as much fun as that would be, we don't do that here.
No.
Definitely not Joe Rogan or fucking Alex Jones over here, so don't y'all worry about that part. Freaking frog scare.
I'm gonna say the sticker just only because you said the name.
He says I'm out.
So quite the opposite. Well, not quite the opposite, but another bit of irony.
Oh.
We had some stickers made where we are not Joe Rogan fans, but we definitely like dumbass jokes about him.
Right. Well, I mean, you gotta appreciate the memes for sure, because that dude, Joe Rogan and Alex Jones, they are funny as fuck, dude. Like, they take themselves so seriously, but the things they say, just, you know, turn the freaking frogs gay! That's what Alex Jones is known for. Hell yeah.
The nail splitter, period.
Yes,
you can get
the nail splitter
bundle on our website, nailsplitter.com.
That's promotion right there. That's a good marketing strategy.
Yeah.
But while we're at it, and while we're having a very relaxed and very human conversation about all these various topics, Jake, I want to know how, like, you know, you mentioned you did grow up and, you know, you had a relatively, or at least the impression I got is that you had a relatively normal journey, and then you kind of concreted yourself into Colorado. So, as the bassist, as one of the dudes who does the ding-a-ling-a-ling and bing-a-ding, but, you know, I love bassists because I'm wanting to be a bassist myself. We'll see how that works out. I want to know how you got into playing guitar and or bass.
So I started really young. I mean, I was pretty much decided on being an artist of some form as long as I can really remember. But I went and saw Rob Zombie. This was one of my first concerts ever. My first like full like arena style, you know, concert. I went and saw Anthrax with Rob Zombie, and I was just obviously blown away. Like Rob Zombie, like Anthrax brought the energy, and Rob Zombie just like that whole thematic, like theatrical. He's got pyro. He's got huge animatronic scenes. just like blew my mind. I was probably 10, 11 years old.
A real performance.
He threw his skeleton glove. He threw like a skeleton glove off at some point during the show, and I got it. And my buddy was also a friend, but he couldn't go to the concert. Like, he
Right.
was
Oh,
but he had a guitar, and I knew he wasn't playing that shit. So I was like, I'll trade you the glove for the guitar, because I saw John 5.
You got the glove? You didn't even say that part. You got the glove? The skeleton glove? Did you
I said that. Yeah, I
Oh my god, you didn't tell me that.
Listen to me. Took it home, traded it for a guitar, and then literally probably played that every single day for the next like 3 or 4 years. But I ended up switching to bass because my older sister decided she wanted to play guitar as well. And since she played guitar, I had to play bass because guitar was just cooler.
right.
The most metal org.
Oh, you're in the choir. That's pretty cool.
No, I mean, no, that's actually pretty cool. Did your let's see. Here's a question. Did your sister end up continuing to play guitar? Is she doing anything right now, or did she kind of drift off after a bit?
We both play bass now.
Oh,
We both play
wow.
bass. She plays bass. She plays a little bit of drums. She makes noise. She plays pedals, you know?
Okay,
Makes
cool.
noise. She's got a couple different projects with the names are eluding me because they're very like underground, like Bandcamp, like black metal projects.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, she does like noise, black metal. We do a power violence thing, which like stays very underground.
Yes.
We call it Charles Manson. Look it up. Look it up. See if you can find it. But
you find it, you get a cookie. And you get
but like, like I definitely wouldn't have been where I'm at without just bouncing like back and forth between us just playing music together. Like all my first bands were just literally just me and her. My first show, yeah, me and my older sister.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, it was like he introduced me to like a lot of the bands that got me into music. I mean, Rob Zombie, one of them, obviously.
Right.
Like yeah, Slipknot, Korn. Like I was heavy into nu metal at a very young age. Never had Jinko jeans.
Right. Well, I mean, that's actually really cool because I am a massive Rob Zombie fan. Like, dude, I love that. I love that band, and I think they kind of peaked with not this most recent record, but the record before, because I remember when that first came out. I went to Rob Zombie's American Nightmare, which was like the little circus show. That was really fucking cool. It was really fun, and the coolest thing about it was like I made friends with these really cute clown chicks. Like, I know that sounds like a strange sentence, but
I'm talking to this clown chick right now. That's crazy.
what's her name?
I'm gonna say that her name's Elvis.
Elvis. All right.
Protect our identity.
We haven't been talking like that.
That's a good idea. That's
Yeah,
good
fair
name.
enough. Maybe don't disclose people's names on the podcast.
Circus performers, dude. Circus performers are cool.
They are though, especially when they're chicks. You're like, wait a minute, like this is rad. But let's see. No, I went to Rob Zombie's American Nightmare, and then I don't know. I think it was called Return of the Dreads tour, and that was Rob Zombie, In This Moment, and maybe it was Korn. It was Korn. Yeah. So I went to go see that, and that was fucking cool. And then back in like 2017, I went to go see Korn when they were headlining, and they had Alice in Chains, Fever 333, and Under Oath on the lineup as well. That was really cool. But the thing that sucked is I got walking pneumonia after that show. What's up?
Korn and Under Oath played together, like on the same set.
Yeah.
Especially with the recent shit, like you probably still think of Under Oath as like they're totally different bands.
It's hardcore ambient like rock, right?
Yeah, their new shit, yeah. Well, their new stuff's more rock based. Like Aaron's not in it. So they got like Spencer. Spencer's like the main vocalist, and he does like more of a rock thing.
Okay.
He's not. I don't know if he's. If he considers
Yeah,
himself
I have to admit too, I have not listened to the new Under Oath record yet. I need to listen to that still.
I will say, you know, I was always like kind of a fan of Under Oath. Like, it wasn't always my thing, but I respect like the sound.
Yeah.
I don't know. I listen to their albums when they come out. And
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely I enjoyed their last album just with the visual aesthetic behind it and all the color coordination, like the yellow and stuff. It reminded me of 21 Pilots in their Trenches album cycle, but better. So that's one way to describe it, I guess. But yeah, I went to go see.
Yeah,
What's
I'm
up?
a designer. I'm a designer, so I'm always curious. I don't like the color yellow, so now I gotta like.
Yeah.
I gotta see how this
yellow
works. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as a designer myself too, because I'm into graphic art design. I do typography or calligraphy. What's up?
We're the same person. Who the hell are you?
I am Jake.
I'm like metalhead, bass player, fucking graphic designer.
Yeah, dude, I'm wanting to be like a tattoo artist. I actually designed a new logo for Nithful pretty recently. People have yet to hear about that or see it. But yeah, y'all are exclusively hearing about that, and everybody who happens to listen to this episode of the Anatomy Podcast. Yeah, it was a volunteer commission, and I didn't get any commissions. I'm just gonna call it a volunteer project, but it was worth every second that I put into it, and I'm really proud of it. And I hope everybody likes it, because there's a full-on fucking Baphomet statue in there. It's sick. It's really cool. But yeah, no, I love graphic design, and definitely I love the like solid color themes that some albums will have, like a Vital Deprivation by Signs of the Swarm with the purple. I actually really enjoy the purple.
Everyone knows the blue albums are always the best ones.
Apparently recently the blue albums are the best ones. You got Kin, you got fucking The Chosen. I actually thought that Elegy was gonna have a blue color theme to it, and that kind of disappointed me when it had a tan kind of gray dirt theme to it. But I get it. It was like more or less it was meant to respond to like all the bad things that have been happening in the world. So I'm like, I get it. That makes sense. You got, smoke and ash and dust and sand outside of this giant field with a factory and people having to bury bodies. But I was really hoping for that to be a blue themed, like a blue covered album, and only a little bit disappointed that it ended up not being that, but whatever. But yeah, no, like solid color themes. It's so good for marketing. And then when you have multiple colors, that's even more colorful, because you're like, it makes people think more. At least it makes the right people think more. They're like, why those colors though? If you have like yellow and blue and black and white, people are like, okay, are you just doing the meme or what? Like,
Speaking of blue, a different shade of blue, the Knock Loose thing, like they went all into that. Like every single, like their music video, their cover art, their live performance.
Yes.
All the songs they play with blue lights.
Oh, they do?
Dedicated, yeah. Like
Ooh.
they I saw them right after they put out that, or right before they put out the new EP.
Okay.
And literally stuff from that album, all blue lights. Stuff from the album after that, all red lights.
Okay.
Like very, very. They have like a super cohesive like visual vision.
Ooh, tell you what, too, to further like provide examples of really, really good blue themed musical releases. In Darkness, Varials, Code Orange.
Oh my. Underneath, dog, you just
Underneath.
literally, yeah, two of my favorite albums of like.
Dude, are you ready for Varials to come back with Mitch as the singer?
See.
We'll see, yeah.
Yes, I am ready for them to come back. I fucking love Barry.
I do too.
Definitely want to hear more, but I don't know, man. That vocalist. Wait, are they like coming back with their original vocalist, or what's going on?
No. Travis Tran, he officially went into hiding, and he's not really I haven't checked in with him or like looked at his IG, so I wouldn't know. But all I do know is that it's still all the original guys, and the guitarist that used to have the big floofy curly hair, he trimmed off most of his hair, and he's now the vocalist.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. I didn't know that they had
already put back vocals already.
Yeah, no, he was backup vocals, and he was like the main hype man. I remember the last time I saw them, he's like, "Y'all better keep fucking moving, or we're not coming back." I'm like, "Oh shit!" And that was in Phoenix. I'm like, "That's how you get people off their feet." They're like, "Don't, you gotta come back sooner or later." But super dope, super dope. This has been an awesome session so far. We've learned a little bit about Xulxer, and we've learned a little bit about Jake from Nail Splitter, and I think the last question before we kind of, transition into the juicy bits for the band itself as a project, as a creative collective, I wanted to know how you gentlemen and the rest of Nail Splitter met.
Literally Craigslist.
Nice.
So I met Christian, our lead guitarist, on Craigslist looking for a vocalist, actually, because I was starting up a hardcore band, and that band kind of fizzled out. We didn't ever really do anything with that, but Christian, I found out, just from getting to know him, he's an amazing guitarist as well, and songwriter. Like, he writes the most insane riffs and like the most insane song structures, and he just like, we really gelled. So I wanted to write something a little more like extreme, like metal, kind of faster, more technical. So
Yeah.
we started like I was listening to a lot of like old school like MySpace deathcore again, like seeing like where those bands ended up, because I kind of like listened in the early days and then like sort of faded out of it and then started getting back into deathcore, like once bands like Sons of the Swarm and Lord Door and all those bands started to sort of rebuild that like kind of new wave that we're having. So I was like, well, let's do something, like that. Just we'll write this music, try to find a vocalist, just put out some little demo as like a tribute to the MySpace days.
Right.
And so we did that. Found this guy on Craigslist. Totally blew me away with the vocals. Like, he had some YouTube videos up.
Right.
Dude, we were like, yeah, that demon dude. Like, we got to get him in the band. And so we did a demo, just the three of us, and it just was so good that I was like, yeah, we gotta like, get a band to play it.
Right.
It's really more legitimate. Like, okay, this is actually like we should build something here. Like, there's something here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's always awesome.
Finding the other two members took forever though, because we're playing stupidly fast music with blast beats, so you gotta find a good drummer, rhythm guitarist that can play, tremolo taking, like 200 BPM. So
Right. Naturally.
yeah, so it took us a while, but we found we saved Cody, he would say, from his garage, like, or his bar. What do you call it, bar rock?
He had a cover band. He had a butt rock cover band that he was playing with.
Yeah. And then Connor wasn't even in a band, or he was like leaving a band, like a progressive, like
he had
sort of
that
metal
after
band.
he moved away from where he lived.
Oh, okay.
And that was over. He searching for another band. Christian found Connor at his work, actually, that neither of them are at anymore. The job that they were both working at a job.
They worked
randomly bumped into each other because they both had a metal shirt on, or something of that nature. Something like that. It's like, oh, metal? Yeah, metal. Yeah. Drummer, guitarist, band. Oh, band. And then Connor.
Well, I mean,
and Connor,
that's always pretty cool.
And Connor's just a nasty drummer, like, from the beginning, and he started, like, getting his, like, like, ridiculous beat where, you can do that, like, and then the double
makes his own triggers, like, creates his own electrical circuit with, like, his own, like, impact sensors that he installed into his drum kit, and then ran it into his, like, his sound input over onto the right, and he has his own triggers, and
he's got his own mixer.
He's his own mixer. Yeah, he's phenomenal drummer, a performer. Not
These
just
are
drummers.
He's our live tech now.
Well, I mean, let's see. Before we go ahead and migrate into even more GC questions, because this is like really interesting. This is awesome to hear about, to record, and to host on this podcast. But real quick, I wanted to go ahead and pick your brains at your top 5, and you know, this is an optional thing. Either your top 5 songs, period. Your top 5, yes. But like, I'm giving you multiple options to make this a little bit easier. But I want to see where the output comes in. So either top 5 songs of all time, top 5 bands of all time, or top 5 albums of all time. You may choose whichever one.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to do a mix.
Song? Give you a couple songs, maybe a couple albums, that, like the most influential chunks. Because like some albums you can't just pick one song off of.
Yeah,
but, like,
I know.
The album itself has an impact, kind of thing.
Right.
Is it cool if we break it down like that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool, you go first.
Well, fuck. I mean, Piano's Become the Teeth is probably one of my all-time favorite bands. Right? Not metal. They're more like screamo, kind of emo stuff.
Okay.
Piano's Become, yeah. So just really, really like emotional hardcore music. With just the most beautiful like melodic guitars, and their vocalist literally, it sounds like he's just like weeping.
Oh yeah.
And they're just like, that hit me at a time and a place that just like fucking, I'll never forget it.
Right.
So that, I want to shout that band out always.
And which band would that be?
Pianos Become the Teeth.
Pianos Become the Teeth?
Yeah.
That's an interesting name, actually. I like that.
Yeah. They were on, I think they're on Epitaph, or they were on Epitaph.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Early days of Epitaph.
Yeah, they're. I don't know if you ever heard of Touche Amore, but they were like.
I think so.
They did like a double with them and like a split with them.
Okay.
They were kind of in that like emotional hardcore scene.
Right.
Let's see. Then we got the Misfits, which like, I don't know. I mean, everyone's got a band that like got them like into weirder like heavy music.
Yeah.
I feel like that's such a common one, but with my shared love of like horror and punk and metal, like Misfits
right.
just, like hit every note for me. So
okay.
For like more extreme metal shit, Converge. Converge is probably one of the most like influential in my like writing and like creative styles. Like when I started taking music more seriously about like what I wanted to express and put out there, it was like number one was Converge. Like their entire direction, like sound wise, sonically, like their DIY like aesthetics, their ethics, their visual style. Like Jacob Bannon is a screen printing artist, and they have a multimedia artist. They have Kurt Ballew's audio engineering. Like I do like audio as well, and his sound, producing everything.
Right. You have to do multiple fields of the business these days to kind of like make yourself known. That's the thing that sucks the most, but it really brings out the raw talent and the individuality with plenty of people. So, hell yeah, more the power to you.
Yeah, I got ADD, so I do everything.
Right. Yeah. We have to be ADD though. That's the thing. To make things cheaper. Like goddamn.
But like seeing that other artists like do really well, like doing so much, like really influenced me. Because I mean, I was gonna say another one on there is Rob Zombie, a dude that makes like art, music, produces music, is a designer, is a
directs movies.
Yeah. Writes movies. He's just
And yeah, that's kind of another more specific way that we compare, because I have like, let's see. Rob Zombie has always been one of my biggest inspirations for that very purpose, just like his entrepreneurship, his sense of entrepreneurship. And therefore, that's why Chris Franzak was a big inspiration for me for a little bit. But now I just kind of don't really, like, obviously not to take a massive dump on him because he's had a big impact on the scene, and most likely he'll bring back Warped Tour, which is phenomenal.
So funny.
If he does. But I have that respect for him for that same exact reason, because he's filthy rich off of making music, making a record label, and making a clothing line that is kind of related to the record label. Like, he's been doing a lot of shit for a long time. So big shout out to him and Rob Zombie, even though I don't really care about Attila anymore. Like,
yeah, I've seen Attila a couple times, actually, surprisingly. I was just on random stuff, but never got into their music. I'm not into that style. But
yeah.
But yeah, the when you see people like put in the fucking work, definitely respectful. From that respect to anyone that does everything.
Yes, for real.
Then probably
What's up?
last time I did, because that was 4. I would say that man, that's a hard one. I got one slot left. Who do I give it to? I'm gonna say Rig. Just say my boys in Rig.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brian for being the most inspiring, hardworking dude on tour I've ever met. They're like a little hardcore band from Wisconsin.
They are.
Yeah, they're massive. They're a massive band.
When you see them on stage, they consume all of your perception. There's 2 of them.
They're two they're a 2-person band that sounds like Sleep or something. Like they're just wall of enormous sound.
See them live. You have to see them live, otherwise it doesn't make sense.
Right. No.
They do everything.
Sweet.
They're always on the road. Always, they make all their own merch, like screen print. They record their own shit. They're
right.
Fantastic.
Sick. And you said which band was that?
They're called Rig Time with an exclamation point.
Rig Time. All right. Sick. And if anything, we will definitely put these musical recommendations down below for the sake of legacy and for the sake of honoring these guys' perspective, these guys' influences and likes in the scene and in music. So, Xulxer, it is now your turn, my friend. Literally, you can. It will be chaotic, I'm sure, because we all listen to a lot of shit. I listen to like 672 bands on Spotify, apparently, and counting. So,
Good.
Give us your worst. Let's go.
Really good to have a wide perspective of music because it's like an extremely human experience. So with music. So it's just because every human is different, every single creative portion of music is going to have some level of value to offer to the listener. If you can glean that level of value out of it, you become better. You just grow as an individual. You grow as
Hell yeah. And that's why we do this podcast, without a doubt.
So all the way into the very beginning, the first kind of music that I found myself actually actively listening to was classical piano stuff, like some Bach. And I am a huge fan of Debussy. Claude Debussy is a fascinating composer, absolutely incredible. Really leaning into piano. It's kind of all lumped into one because I don't have like a good strong differentiation in the genre, but I know that those are the 3 names that I've seen come across and stuff, which moved into more like classical violin and stuff, and then I started taking an interest in like stringed instruments in general, which moved into me playing guitar alongside of doing vocals, and actually picking up the guitar is what sort of made me realize, like, oh, music is something you can actively listen to and follow. And I didn't really think that up until this point, I had only been exposed to, like, church hymns or, you know, like the Christian contemporary shit that my mom would listen to, which is not at all inspiring to someone who is already on the levels of like, you know, like composition kind of thing. Like there's there's kind of a wide gap in the ability to be entertained by those two types of things.
Exactly.
So I was looking for more because I wanted more, and I found this band called Pillar. I think Pillar. This is forever ago. It's like a Christian, like post-rock band that was signed to Tooth and Nail. Well, Tooth and Nail and Solid State Records were kind of the same company, with Solid State Records being the heavier version of Tooth and Nail.
Right.
They did a split EP together, and on that CD, I heard Demon Hunter. Oh my God, I never heard screaming before, and it sent chills. It was the creepiest thing. So they're like explicitly Christian. So the lyrical content was not exactly what I needed, but the sound was just, it's what I consider my new metal thing. So I'd like to shout out Demon Hunter first and foremost. Give a shout out. Summer of Darkness shaped the way that I perceived the instrument, the guitar. It shaped the way that I perceived my ability to craft. And it also started my interest in screaming, which is where everything kind of like began for the rest of both of them.
You heard it here, folks. Demon Hunter. That is basically how Nail Splitters started, vocally speaking. So, fuck yeah.
Kind of. And then we move into, it went straight from Demon Hunter. I began to viciously just devour any type of music in this area. So like Demon Hunter, Dead Poetic, basically the entire Solid State lineup. Under Oath was in there. A lot of Tooth and Nail bands just ran through it all as fast as possible until I finally found the band Cradle of Filth. Friend at school.
Ooh, yeah.
Danny Filth absolutely blew my mind. So that opened my mind up to the fact that bands in Europe are heavier and darker than the bands that were coming out of America at this time. I hadn't really found out about the Florida death metal. So I moved like European black metal, like hardcore, the ambient stuff, kind of blah, blah, blah. Which brought me to a band called Xulxer, which was my first exposure to tunnel vocals before they were called tunnel vocals. Nobody knew what it was called back then.
Right.
It was Peter S. Bavoli completely inventing an entirely new sound. To me, I didn't know that the vocalist from Cattle Decapitation had been doing it, but I had not been exposed to Cattle Decapitation. So this is the first time I've ever heard, using your tongue to shape the third level of distortion. It blew my mind. So Xulxer, 100% top of the list. It's like a progressive black metal, but they call themselves white metal.
Christian band.
Christian bands, bro.
Oh,
that's all I was
interesting.
Listen to. Okay, I have to preface this with my dad would scream the lyrics of any of the music that I listened to. So anything, when you found Cradle of Filth, he was, oh man, I see the light of day for like 3 weeks. Man. If you're listening to this, man, you got me grounded, motherfucker, but it was worth it.
Yeah, massive respect, man, for Cradle of Filth. Like, their new album didn't really, catch my attention as much as the older ones, but, nonetheless, they are one of the bigger staple bands for black metal, black symphonic death metal, all those fucking subgenres and shit.
Performance black metal. For modern performance black metal with all the pizzazz and the colors and the acting and the costumes.
Right. No, agreed.
It's a black metal band, it's not first, second, or third wave. It's like an entirely new. Some people don't even like calling them black metal because they're so different from
My sister would be so mad hearing y'all call Cradle of Filth black metal.
But true black metal bands do not think Cradle is black metal.
I think she likes Cradle of Filth, but
they're not black metal.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. They do all the more theatrical stuff. They might as well be the Gwar of black metal, right? Yeah. They're really colorful, they're really theatrical, and because they're mainstream just enough to be marketed really well under a bigger record label. People are like, they're fucking fake black metal. They're not cold. Or whatever, but
Are they still on Roadrunner right now or no?
no, I think they're nuclear. I think they're Nuclear Blast.
That's awesome. I didn't know. Cool.
Yeah, no, I think they've been on Nuclear Blast for a little bit. If not, either they're independent or they might be on Napalm actually.
Oh,
Yeah, that's awesome. If
Yeah.
any of those, I'm just glad to hear that they're still on like a major metal record.
Oh yeah, no, they are. But yeah, no, without a doubt, I completely understand from the more culty perspective of just they're basically the core of black metal. They're not even real fucking black metal, true cult or whatever. Like whatever. Danny Philp is such a staple vocalist.
What's the name on the new CD with it's like those something from the Flames or something? It's got like a piano interlude or something with like a really big like symphonic backtrack, and then it comes in with like every classic Cradle element throughout the whole song. It's like they jammed their entire discography into this one song on the new CD. It's like it outshines every other song on the CD.
Ooh. Oh right.
It's like something Flames. Super.
Let's see. Well, you say flame, and despite the word flame, I'm like, is it Crawling King Chaos? But now I have to look this shit up. Hold on, I'll pull it up because I have it downloaded. Because I haven't listened to it all the way through just yet.
It's so good, dude.
I'm sure it is. Hold on, I'll go ahead and pull it up real quick for, pardon me, research purposes.
It's the dying of the embers, not flames. I'm sorry. The dying of the
embers. Okay, cool.
Whenever you get a chance, check that out.
Okay.
But yeah, after X-Hole and Cradle and all that, the biggest, largest influence in all of metal for me, vocally, guitar, drums, every like way that I structure music, is the Black Dahlia. It's massive. Brian, Eschbag, and Trevor Sternad are just probably like the two pillars on the two corners of the building of metal that I built in my mind. They just have overworked on all of the Black Dahlia murder songs.
Right.
But this Throne of Lunacy off of Deathcore is the absolute of like melodic death metal. It has the perfect solo. It has movement. The choruses are not, overrun. There's only two choruses, and when it comes back heavier, harder, faster, bigger, more mixing. They actually, every element of that song is perfect. So, Black Dahlia Murder, if you guys hear this shit, it was perfect. Go back. Perfect.
Dude, their new shit is great.
I'm sorry, Brandon Ellis is a god. That's true. I just actual god, but watch Death Flirt is so good.
He posted this video of him playing guitar as like an improv solo that he did.
Face melting.
You saw that?
Yeah.
Dude, that was unreal.
Face melting. His understanding of musical theory and how to apply it to the guitar is masterful beyond.
Huh. Yeah, I've been sleeping on the Black Dahlia Murder. So I definitely know them, and I'm aware of them, and I've listened to quite a bit of their music. My favorite song by them is still Threat Level number 3. I think it's about the rapist or whatever. I really like that just because of like how brutal and visceral it was, and like the message behind it, just this rapist, this pedophile being dragged through hell. I'm like, yes, this is my type of music. Oh, I love it. It was great. And I will admit that I have not checked out Verminous nearly as much as I should. And I think it's just because like the visual aesthetics of the band have always been about the same to me, including the album covers, right? So Verminous, you got just like the last couple records, really, they've just been these massive buildings, these massive structures with different colors. And I guess a part of me isn't exactly attracted by that, because as a artist, as a graphic art designer, as a lyricist, as a vocalist, and probably as a bassist in the future for my project, I pay attention to every detail that goes into a musical release. So when the album cover is like almost the exact same to me as the last two records, I'm like, I'll just wait until the next record. I feel really bad because now I'm hearing you guys praise this band as much as you are, and I'm like, you know what? It's time to go back. It's time to go back
Honestly,
and reminisce.
they have not put out. They're like, I'm sure there's some that people sleep on, but they're just one of the most solid death metal bands I've ever heard.
Every CD has a different sound because of their constantly evolving lineup, but the core of the band has always been to produce good melodic death metal, and they have delivered since their first song, little demo thing that they released all the way up until now. They are absolutely professional, and if you're concerned about the differentiation of the individual CDs, I would challenge you to zoom out and look at all of the art together as a discography, because they are long-term workers. They do not give a shit about the short term. When they build, I'm convinced that they have structured all of their CDs to be in the same format with a different color, so that when the legacy of the Black Dahlia murder is looked at in 20 years, it's succinct, it's synchronous, it's a whole life project that they present to you even after death. And it is going to be, I'm excited. If I'm alive for when it's completed and I get to see it in its entirety and like get to look at my emotions from the beginning all the way to the end as like this elegy of a melodic death metal band that refuses to fucking die, no matter how many eras of metal they've been through. They survived MySpace. They survived everything, man. Like, this band, I can't accolade them enough. I'll give them 2 spots just for that. Because, like, I don't really have a favorite band anymore. Like, everything, not that everything meshes together, like, the same anymore, because things do stand out, like Ingested and Organectomy.
Yeah.
Obviously, New Black Dahlia. You know, Lorna Shore, Distant is doing great things. Crown Magnetar just got signed a unique record.
Yeah, man. Big shout out to them. That's fucking awesome, man.
And they have put the work in, man. They deserve the spot. That's what it is. Put the work in and you get the spot.
Right.
Black Dahlia Murder put the work in, and that's why they're still in their position, you know?
Yeah. Did you gentlemen have a chance to see them on the Up From the Sewers tour?
Not. I haven't seen them since they did the Warped Tour support of Ever Black.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, I don't know if you guys knew, but they were recently on a tour. They had Carnifex with them. They had Rivers of Nile.
Yeah, I saw it. I think I didn't see the show.
Right.
Rivers of Nile sick too, dude.
We're gonna have to have some saxophone in our metal music, right?
Ooh.
Our guitarist is lit. I'm not even kidding. He's been playing saxophone for like 2-3 months, and he's like just nasty at it already. Like,
He's already playing Tiny Steps, that really, really popular jazz piece. I can't remember the author's name, but it literally comes on the jazz radio station like once every other week, and he plays it already. He can play it with like 80 to 85% perfection.
Well, I mean,
Already.
that's definitely an extra layer added onto the Nail Splitter formula. I'm excited to hear that there will be fucking saxophone in this music. That's cool.
we
That's
gotta
what
have
we're pushing for. That's what we're pushing for.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
cool. One cool thing, like we've definitely evolved a lot, but like we're kind of like forming a good body of work for our next album right now, and I am just ready for it to be, just fucking pushed to whatever creative like form we would make people interested. But we don't like stick to a genre. We don't like try to like structure songs the way that a genre dictates. Like we're
Right.
gonna put weird shit together. We're gonna make it weird because I don't know. A lot of us listen to a lot of progressive stuff, especially like Christian and Connor like are
Yeah.
mad into progressive and like jazz music.
They both jizzed their pants when Tool dropped their new CD.
No, that was just Connor.
Maybe it was just Connor, but
I don't think
felt like
I don't think Christian likes Tool.
Well, yeah, that's actually really cool. And I do appreciate the time that you have provided us so far, answering all these questions, basically providing your life story up until you've joined Nail Splitter thus far. So we're going to ask you guys I'm going to ask you guys a couple more questions concerning the band itself. These are the questions I would argue that people would be asking you at shows, and therefore they can just come onto the podcast if they know about it and they can get all these questions answered right here and now. So the first one, and this is one that I always ask bands in the so far 14 episodes we've recorded, this being the 15th, which is awesome. How was the project, where did the name Nail Splitter come from?
Well, we actually started out with a totally different name. We were Anthrothesia first, and that's what's on the demo. We kind of changed it to, the demo's name is Anthrothesia at this point, but that's what the band was called. And it's like a kind of a bastard mix of Greek and Latin roots that means human sacrifice.
Ooh, that's cool.
We borrowed the fuck out of those languages and mutilated them to fit those two things together.
No, it totally works.
Kind of.
But no one could pronounce it, so no one could pronounce it. So we were like, it was, a name that we gave it to be for when we were just coming up with a
Kind of
MySpace Deathcore project. When we seriously, we were like, let's get a name people can pronounce, and there's really not a cool story about how we got to Nail Splitter other than we were just coming up with things off the top of our heads that sounded cool. And then I think Nail Splitter was actually a riff off of something that we said. But I'm always I don't know, the imagery of the band conjures for me torture tools, medical instruments,
Which can all be found in video Nail to Agony found on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So not really a magical story per se behind the original way that Nail Splitter was named. However, after endeavors like Hail to Agony, and now you guys moving forward and incorporating saxophone into the band, how has the story evolved? How has the name and its meaning evolved for you guys? Is there any story for it? Is there any lore behind what Nail Splitter is?
There is a story that I shared in chat one time that perfectly embodies the suffering that the name Nail Splitter is. When I was a kid, we lived in this trailer in Georgia. I told you I was living in Georgia.
Right.
In the kitchen, in the bathroom, you have a sink, and then there's the doors that open on the sink. Well, I've got the wooden bits on the front of the doors would peel off in these really thin slices of wood because if it already hurt them off, it would peel off, right? So I collected Pokemon cards, but I wasn't allowed to collect Pokemon cards because I lived with my parents.
Yes.
I'm a child, and they're super Christian. So I'm sorting through them, pretending I'm taking a shit in the bathroom, trying to build my new deck, and my mom knocks on the door. She's like, I need to get something out of the bathroom. It's like medicine cabinet or something.
Yeah.
Dude, I fucking panicked, man. So I fucking frantically, I'm like, one sec, I'm on the pot. I grab my cards up, and I'm trying to get the door open, and I scratch at the door in just the right way to where my index finger catches the piece of wood, and it drives up under my nail. And now I break off of the door, and now I have a piece of wood stuck in between my nail and my finger. Hurt so fucking bad. I can't even describe the level of agony that experience was. Needless to say, my mother found the Pokemon cards as I jammed the door open, begging for help as I was in. I didn't give a shit about the spanking that was coming that night. Piece of wood that's broke off in my hand. So that is the level of pain and agony that we're trying to convey and express, but in more theatric and eloquent ways. But it is all about pain and suffering. Every bit of it is about pain and suffering.
Okay. Yeah, sick. So we got relative themes here with Nail Splitter of torture and pain and suffering and stuff, and Hail to Agony, I can only assume, incorporates a lot of those same ideas into, is it a concept record as far as the lyrics, just kind of vaguely summarizing what we're going to be talking about later in time, what's going on with Hail to Agony?
So lyrically, each of the songs describes a separate universe in which a character follows through their suffering. Each of the songs kind of lightly kind of digs into the different types of human could experience during their life.
Right.
Some of them are very corner cases, as you kind of, I won't get into too much detail because I know we're going to do it later, but in Disian, we have the story of someone who is sucked into a consciousness and is alone in black space, alone, just in nothingness, which kind of, well, I'm not going to get into it now, but it is one type of suffering. And in the Hail to Agony it has nothing to do with the mental suffering that is found in Disian, but it's a very physical agony with being trapped in your body on Earth, like the physical frustration of having a larger imagination than your.
Yeah, and a lot of artists, a lot of creators, including ourselves, I feel, have that sort of thing going on with tortured artist syndrome and not being able to fully express our imagination, and therefore there have been the greatest efforts in recent pop culture history, such as Star Wars and Marvel, which that's a weird tangent, but it works. Just like massive stories, these massive imaginative efforts, and they've impacted.
Yeah, man. The human imagination is like so much more broad than I think I'm able to develop, which is why things are constantly changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely Brock is a story writer. I could never write the way that he does because he makes so many layers on top of layers of metaphor and character development. He starts with a pretty base concept, but evolves a universe.
Yeah.
My song is just I'm bold.
Hell yeah.
Deep down.
Right. Well, there you have it, folks. We have Nail Splitter here. We have Jake, the bassist, and Xulxer, the vocalist, the brainchild behind the lyrics, or the mastermind behind the lyrics. I keep on saying brainchild or mindchild, but a mindchild would be the lyrics themselves. They just released Hail to Agony pretty recently, and that is their debut effort. They are in full motion, as all musicians are, right after even they release their newest stuff. They are in full motion, evolving what Nail Splitter is, driving the nail, driving the hard iron nail under the skin, which we will be doing with this little EP, and that should be really fun. And I mean, shit, they're going to be having saxophone and other different instruments incorporated into such a nasty and just gnarly sound, which I'm now I gotta go listen to Hail to Agony and see how the hell you guys are gonna incorporate saxophone and other instruments in there. That just boggles my mind. But I do appreciate you guys deciding to provide the time that you have, and obviously we will be doing a separate session at a later point. But ladies and gentlemen, this was the Anatomy Podcast. We will see you guys on the next episode with either Lucretia, The Last 10 Seconds of Life, or another artist. We have yet to figure that out. And again, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time tonight. And yeah, be sure to enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of it.
Yeah, dude, thank you.
Of course. Later, guys.